Breaking tonight, a local Publix on lockdown. Police search for a man they say is armed and dangerous. The latest on the manhunt in minutes.
Live, breaking right now. This is News 6 at 11.
No one in our community, not a mother, not a 9-year-old, and certainly not news professionals, should become the victim of gun violence in our community.
Central Florida now grieving the loss of 3 people, including a journalist, a 9-year-old girl, and a woman after multiple shootings in Orange County at the hands of one suspect. 2 survivors are still in critical condition tonight.
Good evening to you. I'm Matt Austin. It has been a tragic and really heartbreaking day in Central Florida.
I'm Lisa Bell. We are also learning more about the alleged gunman as reaction continues to pour in from across the country. Now, this all unfolded in Orange County's Pine Hills neighborhood starting around 11 this morning. The first shooting happening near the corner of Hialeah Street and Harrington Drive, north of Colonial and east of Hiawassee Road. Orange County deputies say they initially found a woman in her 20s shot and killed there at around 11:20 this morning. Now, later today, just after 4 this afternoon, 2 journalists were covering that earlier homicide, and that's when the sheriff's office said the suspect, Keith Melvin Moses, walked up to their unmarked car and shot both of them. Moses then entered a random home about a block away and shot a 9-year-old girl and her mom.
And all 3 people were killed. That includes a Spectrum News 13 journalist, the 9-year-old and the 20-year-old. Another member of the Spectrum News crew, as well as the mom of that 9-year-old, are in critical condition right now. The names of the victims have not yet been released.
Deputies say the suspect, 19-year-old Keith Melvin Moses, has been arrested and is behind bars tonight. Orange County Sheriff John Mina says he has a long criminal history. More on the suspect in just moments.
Yeah, we want to start, though, with News 6's Troy Campbell. He is live at the Orange County Sheriff's Office tonight with more on how this all happened today. Troy.
Yeah, when we were finally able to speak with the sheriff, he assured us the person they believe is responsible for all 3 of the shootings is in custody. A person that they say shot and killed a woman, a 9-year-old girl, and an Orlando TV reporter.
So I want to acknowledge what a horrible day this has been for our community.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office tweeting this picture, showing the man they say shot and killed 3 people Wednesday. Sheriff John Mina says just after 11 a.m. Wednesday morning, 19-year-old Keith Melvin Moses shot and killed a woman in her 20s inside of a home on the 6100 block of Hialeah Street. Then just after 4 p.m., Mina says Moses returned to the scene and shot a Spectrum News 13 reporter and photographer reporting on the homicide case. Mina confirming one of the men in the News 13 crew was killed.
They were both in or near the vehicle, a reporter and a photographer, and unfortunately one has passed.
The sheriff's office says Moses also shot a woman and a 9-year-old girl inside of a home on nearby Harrington Street. Mina says the 9-year-old girl also died from her injuries.
He was detained and arrested near that area right after the 2 shootings. Yeah, a very good description was given out. Deputies located him in the exact same clothes that he was wearing during the shootings. And once they did detain him, homicide detectives who were familiar with him from the previous case said, yeah, that's our same guy.
Mina says detectives are praying for all of the families involved.
Our hearts go out to her mom, who's also fighting for her life, and her father and all of her family members, and of course, prayers and condolences to the news media and their family and friends of these media professionals.
And as of a couple hours ago, Mina said Moses was formally charged with 1 count of murder. However, he said those will be increased. And again, as of now, the identities of the Orlando news crew have not been formally released. Live in Orlando tonight, Troy Campbell, Getting Results, News 6.
Troy, thank you. We are continuing our team coverage now with News 6's Jerry Askin, who has been at Orlando Regional Medical Center all night. And that is where some of the victims were taken after the shooting. And Jerry, it has been an emotional night out there tonight.
That's right, Lisa. Good evening. A tough day for sure here for Central Florida. A very somber day, an emotional day outside the Orlando Regional Medical Center. And we at News 6, we're sending our toughest condolences, and we're also sending prayers for our colleagues at Spectrum News 13 after hearing about this tragic news. I want to go ahead and show you all what we're seeing here outside the Orlando Regional Medical Center. For hours today, we've seen this large covering outside the emergency room. Here is where first responders and ambulances usually come. The emergency room at some point today was on lockdown, and I'm still working to see if that's still the case. I told you all earlier we saw families here crying and very emotional outside the hospital trying to make sense of this tragedy and after hearing about this tragic news. Now here's the very latest. According to the Orange County Sheriff's Office, a woman in her 20s was killed, a Spectrum News 13 journalist was killed, and a 9-year-old was killed. That 9-year-old's mom was critically hurt, and a Spectrum News 13 journalist was also critically hurt. And back out here live, it's been very tough for all of us, as we're including us journalists who were out in the field every day simply reporting and doing our jobs, trying to make sense of this tragedy. We also saw more and more deputies arrive on the scene here at the Orlando Regional Medical Center by the hour, but they have since left. Again, here at ORMC, the media has been supporting each other, crying together, hugging each other, just, again, trying to make sense of this unspeakable tragedy today in Orlando. We're live outside the Orlando Regional Medical Center. I'm Jerry Askin, getting results. News 6.
Tough day for sure. Jerry, thank you. Well, tonight we're learning more about that 19-year-old charged in connection to today's violence. So here he is. He's identified as Keith Moses. Investigators are talking to him, trying to figure out why he would carry out these shootings. But the Orange County Sheriff says he's really not saying much.
It is unclear if he knew they were news media or not. We're still trying to work all of that out. That vehicle was almost exactly in the same spot as the vehicle was from the homicide this morning. So it's unclear why exactly they were targeted.
All right, so let's talk about this guy some more. News 6's Treasure Roberts live in the newsroom looking into his background. Treasure?
Matt, the big question is, why did he do it? At last check, Orange County Sheriff John Mina said following his arrest, the suspect didn't say anything, so there's no information on a motive just yet. But we did learn he has a long criminal history. After a horrifying shooting spree that left 3 people dead and 2 others critically injured, Orange County deputies captured and arrested the suspected gunman. The sheriff's office identified him as 19-year-old Keith Moses. At this point, they haven't said where they caught him after the gunfire. Orange County Sheriff John Mina told us, though, he's had a slew of felony charges.
At 19, he has a lengthy criminal history to include gun charges, aggravated battery and assault with a deadly weapon, burglary, and grand theft charges.
We checked court records and found he was arrested in Orange County November 2021 for possession of marijuana and drug paraphernalia. It's the only arrest listed in Orange County, so it's possible he committed the other crimes when he was under 18 years old. As for the deadly shootings Wednesday, Sheriff Mina says the 20-year-old victim may have been an acquaintance to Moses, but doesn't know if he has any connection to the other woman and her 9-year-old child who were fired at in a home. Mina says it's also not known why the news crew was targeted or if the suspect was aware they were media members. Moses is facing charges in the death of the 20-year-old woman shot this morning, and deputies expect additional charges for the other shootings. Matt, Lisa.
Treasure Roberts, thank you. We are getting some reaction to this shocking series of shootings in Pine Hills today.
Yeah, we do have a statement now from Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood saying, quote, gunned down doing a tough and often thankless job. News 13 and all news crews, you are in my heart tonight. I need you to know we care and appreciate the hard work you do and the sacrifices you make. This is a tragedy that should never have happened.
This statement from the National Association of Broadcasters. We are deeply saddened by the tragic loss of life in Orlando, Florida today. Our hearts go out to the families and colleagues of the Spectrum News 13 crew members and all the victims who have been affected by this senseless act of violence.
And the parent company of News 13, Charter Communications, released this statement tonight. It says, "We are deeply saddened by the loss of our colleague and the other lives senselessly taken today. Our thoughts are with our employees' family, friends, and coworkers during this very difficult time. We remain hopeful that our other colleague who was injured makes a full recovery. This is a terrible tragedy for the Orlando community." And, you know, Jerry, of course, Spectrum News 13 is covering this story while also mourning their loss.
Yeah, tonight their anchors address the struggles of covering news that involves one of their co-workers. So take a look at what they said.
We're not just co-workers, because I know people joke around with us that we have our work wives and our work husbands. We are a family. That is how close we are, and it's just this is absolutely just a terrible night.
A tear in our family tonight,
Yeah,
and every time that we have to cover stories of violence and things like that, it does weigh heavily on our hearts and our minds, and it's why we are so focused on doing positive, uplifting stories about our community. And here, I mean, our hearts especially heavy because we know these individuals so well and so much, but our hearts also heavy for this mother and this 9-year-old girl and this 20-year-old woman.
Can't imagine what they're going through tonight.
Absolutely. As I was about to mention, News 6's Jerry Askin, who was out at ORMC tonight, talked on the fact that although we are competitors, these people that we work with them every single day in the field. And so when you see something like this happen to someone, it's happening to a friend, it's happening to a colleague, and it's really hard. And of course, so many journalists coming to work every day, parents as well, and to hear that a 9-year-old who was just in her house, likely just got home from school. This shooting happened at around 4 o'clock. School got out at 3 with her mom, and somehow she is gunned down in her own home. It's just awful.
Yeah, so many grieving families out there today, and we've been choked up all day just covering this story, and we want our colleagues at Channel 13 to know that we're with them and we're praying for them. We'll be right back.
We're giving you a glimpse at the exclusive content on News 6 Plus. Watch News 6 at 5:30 p.m. for the News 6 Plus Takeover.
The king of Heidi-Ho, Cab Calloway, was one of the most popular entertainers of the 30s and 40s. He was the first African-American to have a single sell more than 1 million records. His scat singing, zoot suits, and exciting stage antics were shown in a string of hit songs and Hollywood movies. He headlined films, wrote the first dictionary published by an African-American, and received countless awards. So, if you didn't know, now you know. Celebrate Black History with News 6 at clickorlando.com.
Live with Matt Austin, Lisa Bell, Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells, Sports with Sports Director Jamie Say, and special reports from the investigators. This is News 6 at 11, getting results.
We are continuing to cover that fatal string of shootings in Orange County from earlier today.
3 people, including a woman in her 20s, a 9-year-old, and a News 13 journalist, have been shot and killed. Deputies say the suspect, 19-year-old Keith Melvin Moses, has been arrested. Orange County Sheriff John Mina says this guy has a long criminal history. Deputies initially found a woman in her 20s shot and killed around 11:20 a.m. Later in the day, just after 4 p.m., 2 journalists who were covering the earlier homicide, the sheriff's office said the suspect, Keith Moses, walked up to their unmarked car and shot both of them. Moses then entered a random home, shot a 9-year-old girl and her mom. In all, 3 people were killed. That includes that Spectrum News 13 journalist, the 9-year-old, and the 20-year-old. Deputies say another member of the Spectrum News crew, as well as the mother of that 9-year-old, are in critical condition right now.
The Society of Professional Journalists tweeted out that they are offering their deepest sympathy to the Spectrum News 13 journalists' family, friends, and colleagues. And State Attorney Monique Worrell also offering her condolences tonight, saying there is no adequate words to describe this tragedy. She also went on to say that her office is prepared to provide resources and services to the victims and their families.
Our live coverage of the deadly shootings in Pine Hills continues tomorrow morning. News 6 Mornings will have team coverage starting at 4:30 a.m. Everything we know about this right now is online. You can find all our coverage at clickorlando.com. Also breaking tonight, a customer in an Orange County Publix tells us they were told to shelter in place after an attempted robbery.
Police tell us they are on the scene. This is happening at the store along Rock Springs and East Welch Road in Apopka. Police were called to that scene around 8 tonight. They say no shots were fired. Now here is some video from the scene. Apopka police tell us the suspect robbed a person, not the business. Again, no shots were fired, but the suspect still is not in custody. Police have blocked the entrances and exits to the grocery store. As soon as we get any updates from police, we'll update you on the morning news and on clickorlando.com.
Well, this Friday, News 6 will devote an entire day to a topic that's tough for many of us to talk about: mental health. The fact is, millions of Americans struggle with mental well-being on a daily basis, which is why we will spend all day Friday tackling this topic. Not just the challenges we face, but the solutions being put into place and the results we're seeing as a community. So representatives from the Mental Health Association of Central Florida will also be on hand to take your calls and answer your questions. So join us on Friday as we dive into the question, how are we doing? That'll be right here on News 6.
All right, Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrell standing by now, pinpointing some really warm temperatures. If you thought it was warm today, it's only going to get warmer for tomorrow, right?
Yeah, what's that old Dr. Phil saying? If you like today, you're going to love tomorrow.
Okay.
Something like that.
I like that accent, Tom.
I can barely do Dr. Phil, and you think I could knock it out of the park since I'm Southern.
Your country.
Well, yeah, but it's Tennessee versus Oklahoma, Texas, where he's from.
It's different.
A lot of bit different. Take a look at what's happening tonight on Live Weather Radar. You see the activity here doesn't do much, but man, it's raining to the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley. And here's the big winter storm the folks will be talking about nationally. All kinds of people up here suffering tonight. They are out of electricity. You know what it's like around here during hurricane season when we go for like 4 or 5, maybe 7 days in a row with no power. All of that ice has taken away the power through a large part of Wisconsin, Michigan. Those poor folks are going to be doing without heat for days on end as the ice has knocked out the power. Here at home, it's not the ice, but the warmth that is the big story. Look at these temperatures in the 70s down here and below freezing with all kinds of snow and ice up north. How did we do today? Well, if you like the heat, we did. 2 thumbs up. 87 was the daytime high in Orlando. Normally, we max out at about 76, so we crushed it. Right now in Orlando, we're holding at 71, wind is from the southeast at 5. Other folks got close to records today, too. We hit 87 in Orlando, records 88. Daytona Beach missed a record by 3. Sanford missed it by 2. And Leesburg got really close, but also came up 2 degrees shy of the record. Maybe tomorrow we'll do better. 74 is the current reading at the port. Temperature reading right now, Daytona Beach 71. And call the overnight low in Orlando 65. Patchy fog late, wind from the south at 5 or less. Here is the record-setting day tomorrow.
Your forecast is sponsored by Del Air Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electrical.
Sunny once the fog leaves and the daytime high goes to 91. If we do get there, again, it will be the hottest day in February ever recorded in Orlando. Here's the week ahead. Low tonight, 65, 91 tomorrow. Then as we go into Friday, 90, Saturday and Sunday, both looking great. Really warm. Every day in the next week is way above normal. Sleep tight, neighbors. I'll see you tomorrow.
Tom, thank you. Here's your cash for life. We've got 23, 30, 35, 37, 51, and the cash ball is 3.
Here are tonight's winning Powerball numbers: 11, 39, 65, 44, 19. The Powerball is 7. Sports Director Jamie Say joins us now.
Jamie, some pretty heated basketball games tonight for the Knights and Gators.
Yeah, the Gators hosted Kentucky tonight, and 3 Florida fans were actually booted from this game. Oh. You're going to see why coming up. Plus, the guys in green, the South Florida Bulls, visiting UCF tonight, reigniting that big rivalry. Could be one of the final editions of the War on I-4, how the Knights made out, and more. Next.
Tonight's Sports Desk is brought to you by Greenway Dodge and Greenway Ford.
A mental well-being crisis is impacting Floridians. That's why News 6 is spending Friday, February 24th, asking, how are we doing? With special coverage on PTSD and the strain on educators. Friday on News 6, clickorlando.com, and streaming on News 6 Plus.
Join the News 6 Birthday Club today at clickorlando.com/insider.
It's your Wednesday, February 22nd, Florida Lotto with double play and Fantasy 5 games. I'm Ken Iflin. Tonight's Florida Lotto jackpot, $13.5 million. And your winning numbers: 20, 51, 40, 17, followed by 22 and the number 43. We've got another great chance for you to win with our new Florida Lotto double play. Tonight's double play numbers 30, 13, 53, 36, 22, and 29. Now let's play Fantasy 5. You could win hundreds of thousands of dollars. Tonight's winning Fantasy 5 numbers. There's a problem with tonight's Fantasy 5 drawing. We will correct the problem and continue the drawing as soon as possible. Let's take...
All right, then. Sorry. Welcome back to News 6 at UCF tonight. The Knights basketball team hosted its fiercest rival for perhaps the final time. The South Florida Bulls in town to wrap up this regular season series. Unless these two teams play in the American Conference Tournament coming up, tonight could be the last meeting between them for a while. News 6 at 11. We'll be right back.
We continue to follow that tragic and heartbreaking news out of Orange County today. A 9-year-old girl, a 20-year-old woman, and a News 13 journalist all killed at the hands of a 19-year-old suspect. Another News 13 journalist, along with the mom of that 9-year-old girl, are still in critical condition tonight at the hospital.
So our live coverage of the deadly shootings in Pine Hills continues tomorrow morning. News 6 Mornings will have team coverage for you. It starts very early at 4:30 in the morning. And everything we know is always online. Right now, you can find all that coverage on clickorlando.com. Thanks for sticking with us today. We hope you have a good night.
Good night.